Hey everyone, all right, so we're on the back end of our Canberra trip, Summernats trip, and we've got a shed to look through.
Awesome Mopar collection here. So
yeah, it's actually going to turn into a couple of sheds and a workshop as well. So
I think we should just crack on because I want to see that Plymouth.
Yep, nice, let's go. All right, g'day everyone. Today I'm here with Bruce. Bruce, welcome to the channel, mate.
G'day, thank you.
Now we're going to do a bit of a shed tour here with Bruce, and we've got a couple of other sheds to look through as well.
Yep.
But first of all, we're going to start with this beast right here, mate. So tell us a little bit about this one.
This is a 1964 Plymouth Sport Fury. This one's originally a 318 auto, brought in from the US when it was new by a doctor up north somewhere. He had it converted to right-hand drive using Aussie Dodge Phoenix steering and suspension. He put disc brakes on the front of it. Since then I've put a disc brake rear in it and changed the wheels. Otherwise it's got an original 80,000 miles on it.
Yeah, okay, wow.
It's just a nice car.
So how long have you had this one?
I've only had this one about 4 years. It was,
nice.
It was my retirement gift to myself.
Okay, that's a beauty, that one.
Came home, showed the wife some photos of it and she said, well, have you bought it yet? Sure.
Well, yeah, approval like that's good to have.
Absolutely, yeah.
For sure. So what did you have to do to it when you got it? What condition was it in?
Pretty much as it sits here. Myself and a mate buffed it because the paint felt like it was covered in sand, but otherwise we haven't touched it. I put a disc brake rear in it because all the brakes wore out. Falcon disc brake rear in it. That's it, haven't touched it.
Do you know what the colour of the paint is?
We think it's Toyota Sandalwood. The car was originally a Sandalwood, but it's a much darker colour than this one is.
So it's not quite the factory original colour. Yeah,
no.
Fair enough.
We think it was painted in the late 70s.
Well, it's held up very well if it's painted in the 70s because it still presents very, very well, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It's a really, really nice car.
And I noticed you got the Creager wheels on there. Were they on it when you bought it?
No, this one had 15-inch torque thrusts on it.
Okay.
And I thought, not a big fan of them.
Yep.
Then I go and put them on my other cars. But anyway, it was just, I wanted to change it, make it mine. I've always liked Creager wheels. And I thought, well, this was the car that would suit. You get on the web and there's just heaps of these in the States and they're all wearing Creagers. And I thought, well, that's it. It's got to be done. Yeah.
So this was pretty much just a jump in, drive,
it's just a
cruiser.
Yeah,
no
it's
worries.
just a cruiser.
So let's talk about the running gear for a bit. So you said it's a 318?
Yes, what they call a 318 poly. So it's the predecessor to the 318 LA that a lot of the late model Aussie Valiants had. They changed in 1965. We got the LA engines with a 273 in the Aussie AP6. So the poly's a much wider engine.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting to know.
They have the cylinder heads have the inlet valve on the inlet side and the exhaust valve on the exhaust side, whereas the LAs have them
the opposite way.
The opposite way, or side by side. So the head is a lot narrower.
And gearbox and diff in this one?
The original factory 727 torque flight, which is cable shift but on a T-bar, and then the diff has been changed from a 8 3/4 to a Falcon M78 BorgWarner.
Okay. And that was the disc brake conversion and that sort of thing came over with that. So have you done any work to the engine on this one, or is it fairly standard?
Haven't touched it. We changed the original carburetor with 500 Ollie.
Yep.
And just left it alone. It had LO rocker covers on it, and I also upgraded the brakes and master cylinder and stuff like that. But otherwise, it has not been touched.
Well, it's a beautiful looking cruiser, mate. This thing must be nice to just get out on a Friday night.
Yeah. It is. Been a hard top as well. It's just too good.
Yeah. Now the interior looks immaculate in there, and it looks fairly original. Has it been revamped at any point?
The rear seat, the back swab has been repaired, so the whole top of the back seat's been replaced, and the bases of both front seats were replaced, but they were replaced before I got it.
Because it looks like it matches in fairly well. It doesn't look like...
we actually got onto a mob in the US and sent them some photos and some details, and they sent us the original vinyl.
Perfect.
So that sort of stuff's everywhere in the US.
Well, you've got another couple of cars for us to go and have a talk about, so let's move on to the next one.
No worries.
Easy. All right, mate, so moving on to S Series Valliant.
Yeah, this here, 1962 S Series Valliant. They originally came with a slant 6, this one was a slant 6 and push button auto. I've had it just short of 40 years.
Wow.
When I first got it, it was a dark blue and a silver underlay. Still had the slant 6 in it. just a 2-barrel carburetor, still had a push-button auto, 4-wheel drum brakes,
wow,
and mag wheels.
So very original at that point.
Pretty close to original. When in 1993, I put the small block in it, put a disc brake rear end in it, disc brake front end in it, rack and pinion steering.
Wow, so yeah, gave it a revamp into the modern stuff.
Initially had a 727 with a push-button auto in it. Turned out that box was rubbish. Put a 904 back in it.
Yep.
With a full manual valve body and stuff like that.
So where's the push button on this one?
On the right-hand side of the dash. There's a little aluminium bracket.
Yep.
And there's 5 buttons went in there.
So you've obviously modified this one a little bit to your liking.
So just a bit, yeah.
Yeah, we can see we've got the flame job going on here and the bug catcher sticking out of the bonnet. So,
yeah.
So what have you done engine-wise, running gear-wise?
It's got originally a 318. We've put a 360 crank in it and then bought it 40,000, so it takes it out to 351 cubic inches.
Wow.
Doesn't that upset some purists?
Yeah, I'll bet.
Well, what's in it? 351. That's not a Ford engine. Never said it was.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So 318, stroke to 351. It's got Edelbrock aluminium heads on it. Offenhauser twin 4-barrel manifold, twin 500 Edelbrocks. 904 trans, which is full manual, and then a BorgWarner M78 diff. So disc brake rear.
Yep.
It's got a Voodoo camshaft in it, Lanati Voodoo camshaft. So it's quite lumpy.
Yep.
Around that 270, 300 at the tyres.
So what do you do with this one when you get out in this? Do you take it out anywhere?
Just go cruising. I took it drag racing once, one of the Creager shows we had on here years ago. Didn't do overly well. Too much wheel spin.
Yeah. Well, it's a setup thing, drag racing, isn't it? You do a few runs before you can get your setup.
I mean, it was a fun thing, but it's just just a cruiser. It's just a quick one.
So was that at the old Canberra drag strip?
Yes, the original one. Well, there was 2. So there's one that was the other side of the airport.
I remember that one. I remember my uncle taking me there
way
when I was
back
about
in the
this
day,
big. Yeah.
And then the one that was near the airport.
Yeah, I remember that one as well.
So I've done a pass on that one, and I did a pass on the old one as well. I can't even remember what the times were. They weren't good.
Yeah. Well, they were 1/8, weren't they, tracks? They
both
weren't
1/8 track.
Yeah, they weren't
tracks,
quarter miles. They were 1/8. Yeah.
And then we've retrimmed it with leather. Front seats out of an S Series Falcon.
Yep.
Rear seats an AP6 Valiant Regal, and then we put Falcon headrests in it, and then all done in fine Scottish leather. The door trims have all been flamed, stitched into the leathers to carry the theme right through.
Yeah, nice.
The engine base had a full custom panels made for it, again flamed right through, and then the big audio system in this one as well.
Wicked. So just done to your liking.
It's my car.
Yeah. No, we love that.
You've had it 40 years. It's part of the family.
Yeah. Not going anywhere soon.
That's it. That's exactly it.
Yeah, nice. Now, you were saying that you spent a lot of time out at the Summernats up until Summernats 33. So was this something you'd take out there and go cruising, all that sort of thing?
This one I actually took to Summernats 1 as a 6-cylinder car.
Awesome.
As a 6-cylinder car. I think the only thing we did was we put a 600 Ollie on it. A lot of carburetor for a little engine, really. But it was fun. And then I worked for Summernats. I did ticketing office, I did burnout judging, I was the chief burnout judge, I did scrutineering, I've been the chief scrutineer, did grass events, pretty much anything you could think of that would be a job that needed to be done at Summernats, I've probably done it. And then the Summernats 33, I thought it's time, I've had enough.
So while we're talking about this one, your oldest car you've got, where did it all start? Where did the passion for cars and getting into these sort of builds, where did that all come from?
Well, this particular car, I saw it sitting on my neighbour's front lawn. And it was just his daily drive. And I was 16, I had no idea what it was. So I went and talked to him for a while. He had a 57 Chev as well. And he said, I'm not selling it. And then I think he got his ass handed to him by a GT Falcon one night. He said, I'm buying a blower from a Chev.
Okay.
The Valiant's for sale. Yeah, right, done.
Yeah,
and
easy.
That's where it came from.
So how old were you then when you bought this?
I was just 16.
Just 16, wow. Yeah.
Sorry, 16 when I saw it. I was 18 when I finally got it.
Okay, yeah.
So, but it was just, that's where it came from.
Yep.
And the Mopar addiction turned up.
Yeah, fair enough.
So this one had, when I first built it, I put US Racing Spinnakers, billet wheels on it. And they were on it for over 20 years. Yep. And it's now got a set of American Racing Torque Thrust M's. So a 17x7 on the front with a 205 45 17.
Okay.
And 17/8 on the rear with 245 45 17.
No, they fill the guards nicely.
So they fill the guards nicely. It rides nice. They've done sort of that Any less than about a 45 series tyre, I think just everything gets too rough.
Now, suspension-wise,
It still has the original torsion bar suspension in it, but the lower control arms have been braced. The 0.86 inch torsion bars have been removed and replaced with 1 inch bars, and that stiffened the front suspension right up.
Yeah,
and then Bilstein shocks all through. Chrysler's biggest problem is they didn't upgrade the suspension when they built the cars heavier and heavier and heavier.
Okay.
So the early stuff handled really well and the late stuff didn't. And you've got to do a lot of work to the later model ones to make them handle. So, and I've just done all that same work to the early Valiant, and it just steers really, really nice.
Yeah.
Especially with the Commodore rack in it.
All right, well, we've got plenty more to look at, so let's have a look at the next one.
All right.
All right, mate, so you got something in the build here. Tell us a little bit about this.
Okay, so this is a 1938 Plymouth two-door sedan or a Tudor. It was a friend's garden art. I looked at it a couple of times and thought that is just too nice a car to leave sitting in the garden rotting away. So I went and spoke to her and I said, how much?
Yep.
She gave me a number. I went, all right, done, and brought it home. Just planned for about 5 years. It just sat in the other shed and it just sat there while we thought about it, planned it, started working what we were looking for. And in the last 5 years, we've got stuck right into it.
Yep. Yeah,
and
nice.
decided what we're going to do.
So being garden art, it was a bit rough when you got it?
It was a bit rough. It's
yeah.
a little bit rough, a little bit rough.
But the chassis wasn't rusted
out
or anything like that?
The chassis was in much, much better condition than the body. But for an 86-year-old body, which we'll see later, it was quite a good condition.
Yeah, okay.
For its age.
Yeah, so you guys are lucky here in Canberra. It's fairly dry. You don't get the salt air and that sort of thing.
That's
and
it, yeah.
So yeah, you're not too bad for rust here in Canberra.
No, and well, it came from Bendigo, but same thing. Inland, well away from the salt. It was just too good a car to leave there.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Now you said you've got the body at another location, which we're going to go to and have a look at that afterwards.
Yeah. So the outside of this car will be a ratty looking thing and the inside will be mint. So it'll have heated seats and climate control and all that sort of stuff. Automatic headlights and everything. All the modern gadgets you can think of in a late model car, this thing will have.
Including?
I picked up a VY-SS Commodore for not very much money with a LS1 and a 6-speed manual in it. Mm-hmm. The motor had 165,000 Ks on it.
Nice.
Brought it home, pulled the motor and box about through the rest of the trip. It's only a dirty old Commodore.
Yep.
I'll upset some people there, I'm sure. No. But anyway, we went to put the Harrop HO2 supercharger cam in it, discovered the standard fault of worn cam bearings.
Yep.
And then, well, let's just ring and bearing it, put new cam bearings in it. And so we put so we've done all that. So the bottom end was all rebuilt. All the heads were freshened up. It's cathedral port, so it's a good engine anyway. Then we put the Harrop 2300 supercharger on it.
Yep.
And the Harrop HO2 supercharger cam in it. So on paper, somewhere between 700 and 800 at the crank. So was it 600 plus at the tyres with a 6-speed manual transmission. So it should be fun.
Oh, it'll be a ton of fun, I would imagine, with that setup in it. Yeah, nice. So you said the chassis was in pretty good condition.
The chassis itself has been pretty solid.
Have you modified it or narrowed it or done anything like that?
We've narrowed the rear quarter of the chassis by 120 mil, so we could get nice big fat tyres under it. Under the rules here in Canberra, I'm limited to a 10-inch rim on the rear, so we're only going to run 9s, and the fronts can be no less than 60% of the rear. So I can run that. They don't care. Oh, sorry, I'm limited to 7 litres.
Okay.
460, whatever a 460 cube inch big block 40s. That's the maximum engine capacity, and then I can boost it to a maximum of 9 pound. Well, that's under hot rod rules, so pre-48. So we've rebuilt all of the front section of the chassis and put the Jaguar front end in it, and it's all on original Jaguar mounts. The rear, front mounts, the rear mounts, the whole lot's all standard Jag. Engineer loved it. As he walked in, he went, Jag mount on OEM front. Tick. Yep. I thought about the Jag rear end, but I wanted LSD. Getting the Jag rear with LSD in it's difficult. Getting the centre even for a Jag with LSD in it's difficult. So we opted to go down the 4-link path with this one. So we stepped in the rear of the chassis 120 mil, and then we used a Australian Rod and Custom 4-link rear end and cut 110 millimetres out of an EL Falcon M78 BorgWarner diff and put a Harrop True Track centre in it and 3 9 gears.
A very solid driveline then.
It should be quite solid. Don't drop the clutch off the rev limiter and we'll be fine.
Yep. No, sweet as. Well, we're going to have a look at the cab afterwards when we go to...
up the road,
up the road. So the cab went there and something else came here to make
My
room
mate,
for the cab.
Alex Torana.
Yeah, all right.
Is holidaying here at the moment. So let's have a look at that.
Awesome. All right, mate, so this thing looks very, very tidy.
Yeah, this is my mate Tony's LX Torana. It's an original V8 4-speed car.
Okay.
That's about the history I know. It's an SL. It's now done up as an SLR, as you can see. Had an original 253 4-speed. It's now got a 355 stroker in it. Still runs the M21 4-speed and the Banjo diff. Painted in the Mazda Soul Red. It's spent the last 8 or 10 years just prepping it up.
Yeah, okay.
Getting it looking better and better and better.
So it was built and he's just been adding to it.
It's an interesting situation that he got, how he ended up with the car that we won't go into, but it was a black car, solid black car. And when he got it back, it was time to just go through it, tidy it up. So he's painted it, retrimmed it, wheels. It already had the engine in it. So we just tidied it up, neatened the engine bay up, and just freshened the whole car up.
Yeah, it's a beautiful car, that's for sure. Yeah, he's done a very good job on it.
He's starting to appreciate it.
Okay.
He's starting to get the accolades when he takes it to events. He's winning stuff, and I think he's starting to appreciate that the workmanship is there. And yeah, mate, you can build a car.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So he wasn't confident. Like it was a confidence building thing for him. Then
I think it's a confidence building thing, and I think it's Torana wasn't really the car I wanted, but he's got it now. It's a nice car. It's a very nice car. I'd happily keep it here, and it goes well. 355s in a little tiny car, they go well.
Now, there's an interesting looking contraption sitting around the corner there.
My shared engine.
Yeah. So obviously you're a man who likes to tinker.
Yeah, sometimes you have too much time in your hands.
Yeah, all right.
You get frustrated when you're working on that one, so you go and play with something else.
All right, well, let's go and have a quick look at the result of that.
All right, no worries.
All right, mate, so this is what boredom in the shed leads to.
Boredom, yes.
Or frustration
with other
jobs.
cars,
Yeah.
yes. I had a 318 poly bottom end that I paid not very much for. I got onto that evil place Google and started searching and found a set of cylinder heads and an inner manifold in Tasmania, and it cost me as much to get them from there as it did to get them in the first place. Yeah. Friend in Victoria had the bale housing, which is off a DT4 Dodge truck, and flywheel and starter motor. My young fella Christopher got me the turbochargers from where he gets his WRX serviced.
So they're Subaru turbos?
They're Subaru turbos, so just TDO4, I think they are. So they've got 7-pound gates on them. And if you muck around with it, you can actually get it to make 7-pound of boost with no load.
Okay.
Slap the frame together when we're bored. Oil filter off a Slant 6. Fuel tank off a workshop machine, 5 litre thing. So it doesn't last very long on fuel. But it's just a bunch of fillings, and you start up rev the guts out of it.
Yeah, nice. Oh, well, let's do that then.
Let's do that, yeah. So it's got to give her a drink. Nice. And then we can rev it. Right, put the pedal on. Nice. Just because we can.
Yeah, that's it. All right, mate, so we've come around the corner to where the body is. So this is the body off the chassis.
This is the body off the chassis with the supercharged small block in it, yes.
Yep, awesome, fantastic. So where are you up to with this part?
Well, this one has just come back from Kim's Fabrication. They put the firewall, floors, sills, pretty much the whole bottom of it back together for me. And now it's up here and we're doing the rest of the rust repairs. So the bottoms of the doors were all rotten. None of the doors shut properly, and they do now. The body, considering it's 86 years old, is pretty solid. So we're just going to tidy it up now. Then we're going to paint it and then artificially patina it.
Yeah, go with that rat roddy kind
rat type looking.
Yeah, awesome.
But an interior wise, it'll be mint.
Schmicko.
So leather interior, heated seats, climate control, you name it, it'll have it.
Yeah, I kind of like that, bringing some of the modern comforts into some of these older cars, particularly for the driving experience, more so than anything else. Yeah,
very much so.
Yeah, nice. So you said both sides were gone?
Both sides were completely rotted out of it.
So they had to manufacture those from scratch?
Made them from scratch. The firewall had been recessed by a previous owner. I think the previous owner was going to put a big block in it. They'd put a huge 6 or 8 inch recess into it. It was just boxy and horrible and untidy. This whole section here was completely missing.
Yep.
The same as here, it was all missing.
So do you know where it came from? Like it must have been sitting out on a property or something
it was sitting as a friend's garden art.
Okay.
in Bendigo.
Oh, you did mention that before.
In
Yeah,
Bendigo.
that's right.
And I saw it and I thought, that is just too good a car to leave.
Yeah, yeah.
So I had a word with her. We come into an agreement, and she let me take it home.
Yeah, yeah, nice.
She still follows it now.
Yep.
It's got its own Facebook page.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll put a link to that so that people can follow the build. Yeah.
She still follows it now, and she's expecting me to bring it down there so she can take it for a drive.
Yeah. Oh,
when it's all done, and that sounds like a perfect excuse to go away for the weekend.
Yeah, no, that sounds great, doesn't it? Yeah. Yeah, get her back involved. So you got the power window regulators and that sort of thing in there.
Yeah, so it'll have full fast glass, climate control, heated front seats, heated rear seats, central locking, automatic headlights, rain sensing wipers.
Okay, yeah.
Everything a modern car's got.
Yep.
And it's all stuff you can buy off the shelf now, literally buy it off the shelf.
And I assume you're going to install it in a way where it still looks old school, but it has all those features?
Pretty much, yeah. So awesome. This is actually still going to have the original door handles on the outside, but it's got NL Fairlane rear door handles for the inside. And it'll have very custom-made door trims.
Yeah, sweet.
Things like that. So it'll be a really, really nice car to sit in and travel in.
Have you had to widen the tubs and all that sort of thing?
We've stretched the inner guards by just on 2 inches, and the rear guard, outside guards have been left alone, and they just clear those 2 6.5 60 17-inch tyres.
Okay, yeah, nice. Yeah, because Con was saying we were talking to Con about this earlier. You put this back on the chassis to make sure everything fits just right as you were putting the floors back in, the tunnel back in, and all that kind of stuff.
The body on the chassis with the supercharged engine at the 6-speed manual gearbox, the 4-link rear, and then there is now plenty of clearance right through the hole underneath of it. And we're able to set ride heights properly and all that sort of stuff. It should be a really, really nice car to drive, and I hope it is.
Yeah. Well, the extent of the work that's going into it, I'm sure it's going to be. Sure, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah. So do it once and do it right. That's the theory.
100%. Yeah. Well, look, I can't wait to get back here in 12 months' time or whatever it is to see where you're up to at that point.
Well, we're aiming for Crack Run 2026. So
Okay.
Canberra Rod and Custom Cruise in 2026.
And you said that's a January show.
That's an end of January show. If I make it, I'll let you know.
Yeah, no, awesome. There's also something over my shoulder here that looks pretty unique. So let's go and have a sticky beak at that.
Betty the EK Holden.
Right, so Betty the EK?
Betty the EK.
Yeah.
Betty has a supercharged grey motor.
Yeah, that's
the original grey engine. She was an original automatic car, but we've taken the horrible old original Trans out, and it's had a Trimatic conversion done.
Okay.
And it makes it quite a nice car to drive, and it goes surprisingly well.
Yeah.
With just a little SC14 supercharger on it.
And I can see the way, it looks like it's all been done in the backyard.
Yeah, pretty much.
All the pipe work and stuff. So it looks.
Pretty much. There's just Tony and a couple of mates. And just got together and invented as we went.
So one of those you can't do that kind of situations?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. You can't do that, well, I reckon we can, so we did.
And you'll love the twin carbs on there with the little German helmets on top. Yeah, just a nice little feature.
Again, it's just one of those because we can things.
Yeah. Did you do anything to the motor to get the supercharger on? Did you have to lower the compressor or anything?
We haven't touched it. It was a Hottie grey motor that Tony's had in it for many years.
Yep.
And we just haven't touched it. We just shoved it in. We put a girdle in it. So we put a crank girdle in it.
Yep.
There was a mob, I can't even remember where. Tony found them online, and they went, "Yeah, we'll send you a girdle." So we had to modify the sump for it to fit.
Yep.
Gave them some feedback. They've made some changes. So the next one who buys it should just fit onto the original sump.
Oh, awesome.
So we put a girdle on it and then put the supercharger on it. Invented everything as we went.
Yeah, no, it certainly looks that way. The brackets look very, no offence, but agricultural a little bit.
That was the intention.
Yeah,
you look at the rest of her.
Yeah. No, that's it. And this is your mate Tony's as well, isn't it?
Yes. He has this and that lovely
Torana.
red Torana. Yeah.
So what do you guys do with this? Just daily drive?
Just drive it around. Yeah. Go for cruising and every now and again.
Yep.
This is the one that'll go to Crack Run at the end of the year, later at the month. It'll just sit there and lap all day long. It'll just keep chugging away. It's just a magic little car.
So as far as the rest of the car goes, I mean, she looks fairly ratty. Is that?
She's fairly ratty, and she's pretty much stock standard. It's got a LSD diff in it, and 355 gears, but otherwise it hasn't been touched.
Fair enough. Yeah. So when was it painted? Is this the original sort of paint and then had the flame job put on it, or do you know anything about that?
I don't know a lot of the history about it. I know that I know it was a black car when Tony got it, and I know he freshened up the paint. Something didn't go right, and then he flamed it, and then it fell apart. But we sort of left it like this because it looks cool.
Yeah, that's it. It kind of suits. Bloody flies.
Do you taste good?
Yeah, no, it definitely suits the build, really, doesn't it? You know, the paint, the supercharger, the piping, the way it's been welded all together. You know, it just all suits, doesn't it?
It's just again something different.
Yeah. No, awesome, mate. All right, Bruce, look, thanks heaps for showing us your toys, mate. You've got an amazing little collection going on. We love the Mopar stuff. We need more of it on the channel, so it's really good to see that you're a bit Mopar mad.
Only a little bit.
Yeah. So, look, thanks very much for talking
to us,
mate.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Nah, it sounds